Hello, it's Stefan Jabir here, and I'd like to speak to you today about how to structure your guitar practice. At times you may feel that your practice is less than efficient, and in this little video clip I'd like to speak about what you can do to make your practice time more effective and more efficient in order that you waste less time and get more out of your time. And firstly, the first thing I'd like to speak about is to write down what you want to practice for the week ahead. So the first thing to do is take a pad and just write down the goals that you want to achieve during the week. It might be the goal of learning a certain lick, learning a certain arpeggio, a certain pattern. Of course, that should be aligned to your larger goals that you should have for your playing, but I would recommend making a small goal for each and every week. And now that we've discussed that, we're going to go into the details of what to do in each and every practice session. And now I'd like to speak about the details of each and every one of your practice sessions. So the first thing I would recommend is that you need to have a dedicated space to practice. It's not advisable to practice in a family room with a TV next to your guitar practice, or to practice where other people are. It's best to practice where you can be alone and when you can be serious about the instrument and be ready to do whatever it takes to achieve your goals. Okay, so let's say you've got a dedicated place to practice where you are not going to be disturbed. This is what I would recommend. So firstly, you need to warm up properly. Do stretches, stretch your hands out, shake your hands loose, make sure you are warmed up and your fingers are all stretched out to start. And once you are ready with that, then I would recommend starting out very slowly and just doing a few warm-ups to get the blood flowing. Once you have done that, the next step would be to work out your right hand, in my opinion, or your left hand. I prefer to start with the right hand. It's totally up to you. So when you start with the right hand, I would recommend practicing the right hand alone. As I've said in other videos, I have a few proprietary exercises that I give to all my students on how to work out their right hands. Now, if you work out your right hand alone, the advantage of that is that you can focus 100% on that hand, and you can make sure that you do the things in the right way and practice in the most efficient way. Also, by only working with your right hand, your picking is going to improve tremendously and your accuracy will go through the roof. Once you've done that, and I would recommend let's say that your total practice session would be an hour and a half, then I would recommend spending recommend spending maybe 30 to 40 minutes on technique, depending on where you're at. So maybe 20 minutes on your right hand alone. Now that may seem like a lot of time, but we are trying to make great progress here, so I would really recommend that. Then I would recommend practicing your left hand. Now, I love the chromatic scale. I recommend the chromatic scale because you use each one of the fingers, you practice each finger out, and make sure that your technique looks great. Now, if you want to take a look at a great left hand technique, watch a few videos of John Williams. John Williams, a classical guitarist, British classical guitarist. He's absolutely amazing. His left hand is absolutely superb. Ideally, you want your left hand to look like that. Of course, when you do your bends and more your bluesy type of playing, the thumb can go across the neck and it can be more loose. So I would recommend being flexible as well. And when you work out your left hand, like I explained, do the chromatic scale, but also do your hammer-ons, do your pull-offs, do combinations of them, do the vibratos, do the bends. There's a lot of accuracy and fine-tuning that you can work on during your left-hand guitar session and guitar practice. So let's say you practice that for 20 minutes. So that's a total of 40 minutes out of the hour and a half. Okay, so we'll come to the next part, and that is to work on a three-step plan, which is going to be your scales and arpeggios, your chords, and an implementation of those two elements. So I would recommend starting with your scales and arpeggios, and you can start, let's say for example you're busy with the harmonic minor, you can start practicing that throughout the positions. Maybe you are learning a new position, then you should try to spend the time memorizing that position and playing the scale in different permutations in order to get a deeper knowledge of the scale. Don't just play the scale up and down. Start on the second string and play it. Start on the third string and play it. Then start on the fourth string. Start on the fifth. Play combinations of the string. Do string skipping within the position of the harmonic minor. After that, you can do the harmonic minor in sequences. You can do it in sequences of 3, sequences of 4, sequences of 5. Now, of course, do this step by step. Don't try to do all of this in one practice session. Maybe you're just starting and you're just learning it in this practice session, that's fine. And in another practice session, you're going to do permutations and sequences and so forth. So then you decide, okay, I'm doing the second position of the harmonic minor, I'm memorizing it, I'm getting it all down, I know where the degrees are located as well. When you play it and say it. So make sure that you, let's say you start on the second note, you can say major second, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, major seventh, root. While you're playing it, say the degrees at the same time, because that will help to internalize the structure of the scale you're practicing. So you can do the same for the arpeggios. Let's say you're doing the minor arpeggio on string group 2, 3, 4, and you practice it throughout all of its inversions. Do the same thing. Let's say you're starting on the second inversion and you've got a fifth, so perfect fifth. Then you go to your root, then minor third, up to perfect fifth. It could be the octave from there. So make sure you practice it and say it and internalize it. Once you've done that, you get to the part that I really enjoy, which is the implementation part. So put on a favorite app or a backing track or a CD, or something to play along with, and then practice what you've just learned throughout the guitar and throughout the areas that you've learned it. Now this is a rinse and repeat exercise. You'll do this every single day or every single practice session, and you'll get better and more acquainted with the guitar neck. One of the difficulties with the guitar is all the directions that we can move in, and that is why it's essential that you practice things backwards and forwards across the guitar in all directions. If you do that, you will be successful. So then you put a recording on, let's say it's in D minor, and you've got a recording on there, and you've got the 1, 4, 5 chord progression, so you've got D minor, G minor, and A major in the D harmonic minor scale. You've got that chord progression on, and you practice improvising the harmonic minor through that. You practice the arpeggios on it, and you just make the session successful. That should probably take you to, let's see, you should almost be finished with the entire session. I would say that should almost take you an hour and a half. And then lastly, after you've done that, I would recommend repertoire. Now, of course, you can scale back a bit more to give yourself more space for repertoire, because I would recommend out of an hour and a half at least, depending on what style you're practicing and playing, maybe 20 to 30 minutes on repertoire. And when I say repertoire, practice something that's relevant to your guitar playing. Maybe you're doing a solo by your favorite band, maybe by Metallica, you're doing a solo that's got the harmonic minor inside of it. Try to always incorporate everything together and analyze the solo, and let that thread that you started with, the harmonic minor, go into the actual repertoire part as well, so that everything you learn actually works strategically together at the same time for you. So then you work on your repertoire very seriously, and after that period I would recommend taking the guitar and just have a blast and a jam. Now a few tips here. Practice with a metronome. Try to practice with a metronome at all times, or as much as you can. Sometimes you can do it without, but I would recommend practicing with a metronome. If you do the harmonic minor, as we discussed here in the second position as an example, try to put that metronome at 30 beats per minute and play crotchets or quarter notes, if we talk about the American term, and just play it on the metronome, note for note, and try to hit the time bang on. You'll be surprised how you develop when you start practicing things slowly. And then when you get to memorize it across the guitar neck, be a bit aspirational with this, and just try to visualize the patterns in certain ways and jump from one position to another, and try to open your mind to see it from different angles. The greatest players can play from all directions, so we don't always start on the 6th string. Maybe we start on the 2nd, maybe on the 3rd. Maybe we start on the 2nd string and then we jump to the 6th. We don't always do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Of course, if you're just starting, do it in a more basic way, but I'm speaking more of you in a more advanced level. Open your mind, expand, and just explore. Because you know what? The world of guitars out there for you to explore, and you can take hold of it and become the guitarist you want to be. So I wish you the greatest success in your practice sessions, and just be disciplined, write things down, work at it. If you're a bit fed up one day, you can just put the guitar on with a backing track and just jam or have fun. You don't always have to be super structured, but most of the time you should be. So I wish you the greatest success in your guitar journey, and I'll speak to you soon again. Goodbye.